grab a drink and have a seat. It's time for Drafty After Dark. With your hosts, Russell James and the Howling Wolf.
All right, everybody. Thanks for coming out tonight.
Being coming out tonight, they're probably listening to this in the privacy of their own home. Or
I meant the audience.
oh yeah. Thanks, audience. We need to get better cardboard cutouts. I'm nowhere near convinced anymore.
Hey, one day they'll be real people. All right, here today with the Howling Wolf.
Oh.
Oh man, and producer Barry.
What's up?
How you guys doing?
I'm not unwell.
So you're not Rob Thomas?
Well, I'm not crazy either. You call me crazy?
Nope.
Good.
We'll let the audience decide.
Well, that's their decision to make, and I hope they take it with a grain of salt and pepper and maybe some paprika on the side.
Will you say that for me one more time?
What, if they take it with a grain of salt and pepper and some paprika on the side?
Yep, that's what I thought you said.
What I mispronounced paprika? This is a bad time to admit I have no fucking clue what paprika is.
It's a seasoning.
Oh, yeah, I knew that. I have no fucking clue what it is. You can tell me it's fucking garlic butter and I'd be like, yep, I'm sure it is. I have no fucking clue.
How about you, Barry? You have a good week?
Yeah, I'm good.
This how are you thing isn't working, I don't think.
No, it's really not. I mentioned paprika. Barry shuts down like he has some fucking paprika fucking obsession.
I don't feel like I'm any more shut down than usual.
Oh.
Yeah, he's actually up on the mic, so proud. Nope. We acknowledged it, so he's gone. He's out. All right. Did you guys watch anything this week that you want to talk about?
Not really.
No?
I did watch, actually, I lied. I watched Jim Carrey's movie, I think it was Dark Crimes on Netflix.
Okay. I haven't watched that yet.
Not terrible.
Okay. So you recommend it?
I mean, if you're up at 2 a.m. and there's literally nothing else to watch, yeah, give it a shot. But if you have like anything else going on, maybe save it for a day you have like nothing going on.
Okay.
And go into it with zero expectations. And yeah, it's actually not bad.
Is it dark? Sounds dark.
Yeah, the crime is dark.
Yeah.
Hence the
Is
name.
it a dark version of Jim Carrey though?
It's a serious version of him.
Serious version.
Yeah. I wouldn't say dark, I would say serious though.
Okay. Did you watch Kidding?
No.
Where he's a kids television show host?
No. I was not going to watch that until somebody came out and said it's just like Death to Smoochie with Jim Carrey, and then I was going to be all about it because we all know that Death to Smoochie is one of the greatest movies of our time. We all know it. We all accept it as fact, and yet there's still some deniers out there who don't believe it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of deniers.
I know. You know, in the way I see it, you can deny all sorts of things, like, climate change or vaccines. But when it comes to Death to Smoochie, there really should just be no debate. This is one of the greatest movies ever.
I mean, it's all right.
No, it's beyond all right. It is our generation's version of The Godfather.
Maybe if you ask Shane nicely, he'll do Death to Smoochie on DQP does.
If he does, I will so be excited because I know you're going to have 4 guys sitting around and everybody knows it's the greatest movie ever. Just nobody wants to be the first to admit it. So I will take that for everybody else. It is a great movie. We all love it. I'll just be open and honest about it.
Okay. Oh. What about Outer Worlds, Barry? How's that going?
So I always make like 1,000 characters. And I've been doing that. Just like make something, not happy with it, delete it, make a new character. So I really haven't played much.
How's that character creation coming along in Outer Worlds?
There's not even a whole lot about it. Like, it's not super in-depth.
Well, not anymore. You spent 20 hours on fucking 18,000 characters.
Yeah. I mean, but what I have played is cool. It's made by the people that made the first Fallout, so it feels a lot like a Fallout game, just like in space.
It looks really pretty.
I keep waiting for you to say, that eyebrow customization is off the fucking hook.
I mean, I did spend like an hour trying to figure out what kind of eyebrows I wanted on one of the characters.
You always go with the Jack Nicholson eyebrows. Somewhere between the Christian Slater and the Jack Nicholson. You keep it in that range, and your charisma is going to be fucking 27. Every time.
Are those your favorite eyebrows? Would you choose to have those eyebrows?
I mean, if I didn't have to pay for them and they just magically appeared like that, fuck yeah. I'd take it.
Oh. That's good shit. All right. Got a couple pieces of news we'll go over firsthand. So, Twitter announced this week that they will ban political ads on their platform starting November 22nd, except for ads encouraging voter registration.
Okay.
So campaign ads are going to be off the table on Twitter. What do you think about that, Wolf? Do you think that that's a good call? Do you think Facebook should follow suit?
Well, I'll take my fucking my line grandstanding as I stand on the line and grandstand for my side as I sit on either side. Twitter is a private company, which means they have the right to essentially say whatever they want. And it's the same thing I've said about Facebook when they talk about banning certain things or, going on or censoring other things. I don't believe in censorship, but I do believe Facebook is a company and they can operate however they see fit. You can also choose not to use that platform.
Right.
Now, as far as if Facebook follows suit or not, I don't have any stock in Facebook. I don't have any stock in Twitter. If Twitter thinks that it's going to be more favorable to the public not running campaign ads, then it's probably just a marketing technique to make them look more favorable. If Facebook decides, well, there's a market in advertising for campaign, since they can't do it on, was it Twitter?
Yeah, Twitter.
Yeah. I kept wanting to say Tinder, but that's probably not right. That goes to show how much I pay attention to any social media.
I can think of a few politicians that would run a campaign ad on Tinder. So.
I would run all the campaign. If I was running for any fucking office.
And Bill Clinton.
You know what? Give Big Willie Style a break, okay?
All right, this is what the CEO of Twitter said. Political message reach should be earned, not bought. A political message earns reach when people decide to follow an account or retweet it. Paying for reach removes that decision, forcing highly optimized and targeted political messages on people. We believe this decision should not be compromised by money.
Okay, so he's obviously against the Citizens United.
While internet advertising is incredibly powerful and very effective for commercial advertisers, that power brings significant risks to politics.
I mean, again, it's his company. He has every right to operate it however he sees fit. I don't see him scaring any users away, and I think that's kind of the point.
Yeah, I think he's kind of pushing the idea as if it's for the greater good of his users, right?
Yeah.
But what happened last campaign season with Facebook? afterwards we had all these theories about Russian interference and
afterwards. Right. Let's keep that in mind while we're jumping down this rabbit hole. Nobody gave a damn during the time, and then afterwards when they didn't get the result they wanted.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, with the CEO of Twitter, is that actually his motive? What he's putting forth, what he's saying, or is this maybe a chance for him to step up and say, "Hey, look, we have more integrity than Facebook"? Like, I question the motive behind doing it, because he's losing money in the long run. He's losing a lot of money because those politicians are going to pay a lot of money to have their campaign ads ran on that platform. So he has to. I find it hard to believe that he doesn't have an ulterior motive, and I think that ulterior motive is Facebook. And when Zuckerberg went to Congress and had his congressional hearing about the situation, he was very autonomous and he wasn't very forthcoming with the information. So he just kind of kept going back on everything is digitized and it's privatized and no one actually views and has a hand on anything. So he kept falling back on that, which is probably true, but also at the same time, what's this guy's motivation?
I know what it is.
What is it?
At least I'm going to take a wild guess. Okay, so campaigns, especially presidential campaigns, which is I assume was what he's referring to, but you also have the smaller ones, the more local ones. So what are you going to get more money from? You ever hear the term, sometimes you have to give a little to get a lot?
Yeah.
Now, to your point, they're going to be giving up a lot of campaign money. But think of how many of these other private corporations who are going to feel a lot more comfortable advertising on a platform without a bunch of political advertisements, without a bunch of, if you have, company X and they're advertising, a bar of soap or, whatever. So company X is advertising a bar of soap. They don't have to worry about their ad running next to somebody that they don't agree with politically.
Yeah.
So how much more attractive is that to other corporations?
I mean, is that a thing? I guess, like, are corporations worried about that particular thing happening?
Well, I don't know exactly what corporations are worried about, but I think the evidence does back it. And you can look back at the YouTube demonetization that went on a couple years ago that's still going on now. They had the whole thing started essentially is, I think it was Kraft had one of their advertisements ran over some white power video or whatever. And Kraft shit razor blades and said, "No, we don't want to be associated with them. We don't agree with them. We don't want our product."
That has been a thing that has happened.
So a lot of the demonetization went on companies got very scared on what their ads were actually running on and what type of videos these people were watching to maybe link them. I could only assume that they would come up with the same conclusion.
Okay.
So
yeah, I mean, I feel like that kind of makes sense.
If you're scrolling through Twitter or whatever, which I have zero clue how Twitter works, I don't have one, but
most people don't. I'm
just going to assume that when you're scrolling through Twitter, if you see an advertisement for a bar of soap, and then right underneath it you see an advertisement for either the Democratic nominee or the Republican nominee, and whatever political race they're talking about.
I'm not buying Irish Springs because that Republican uses it.
Exactly. Or whatever. I would assume it would have something to do with that, to make it more comfortable for corporations to actually be a little more friendly to advertise on their service.
That could be too. I mean, that's a good point.
That's how I would look at it. And if I was in their position, I would make, now in doing that, it would also go into the, like what you said, to the general public or the general population, we have more integrity than Facebook. And then more people, more corporations are going to advertise on a platform that the public feels is more favorable.
Yeah.
And your platform has more integrity than, Facebook or Google or YouTube or, whatever, then you're going to have that brand awareness. And like you said, a lot of people don't have a Twitter. Well, a lot of people might dump one of their social medias and get Twitter because it has the integrity. So it's the illusion that they're essentially selling.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people too are like just kind of over the politics. Like 2016 wore everyone the fuck out.
Are you kidding
politics.
me? I love every second of it. I know I'm not the target audience, but I also don't spend all my time on social media. So anytime I get to see
guy who doesn't have any social media.
Yeah, pretty much. I have an email. I think that should count.
But, I mean, a lot of people are just worn the fuck out. Like, they're tired of hearing about it. Like, people are tired. Like, there's Trump supporters and there's non-Trump supporters who are both tired of hearing about Trump.
I think
South Park said, we're not going to target Trump anymore because everyone's doing it. Like, and a lot of what they've been doing recently isn't even about politics. It's just about social commentary on what's going on in our country.
I think that's what they've always done, is social commentary.
It is, but there's been a lot of politics to it before. Like they've tackled a lot of political issues and made fun of a lot of politics, but like everyone's just fucking like tired of it. Like no one wants to really listen to it anymore.
I think everybody secretly loves it and
we're hoping because we're talking about it
and doesn't want to admit it. I love every second of it. I think it's great.
Yeah, I like knowing what's going on, but there is a lot of truth to the social media echo chamber, and that creates a problem because you get people too used to hearing the one side.
You can always break the echo chamber, right?
Yeah, you have to go. Well, you can go into your settings on Facebook. So this might be something that a lot of people don't know. You can actually turn off your targeted ads in Facebook, and you can kind of get yourself out of that echo chamber where just by doing that, because then it's not constantly worried about showing you something that you like. You actually get to see what other people are posting as opposed to the 5 people you interact with.
What's interesting is I tried this with YouTube. Because as soon as I heard the term echo chamber, I'm like, well, maybe I am stuck in my own echo chamber. So the first
super easy, and then you're just like, I just agree with everyone now. This is weird.
No, it's boring.
Yeah, no,
I have to
awful.
find somebody with a different opinion. So I'll just give you 2 random ones, I guess. Which I've watched all sorts of YouTubers on both sides of the fence on damn near every issue, and I didn't do it intentionally to break my own echo chamber, but I did it because I want to hear what the other side says.
Yeah.
Because I'm curious.
Yeah.
I'm very curious on how somebody could, if I feel strongly about a topic, no matter what it is, I want to know what arguments the others have or the other side has. And it could be maybe I'm misinformed, maybe they're misinformed, maybe they're just flat wrong, maybe I'm just flat wrong.
Yeah. Or maybe you're both just fucking wrong and neither of you are looking at it right.
No, I've looked at it and I'm obviously correct. Like every other American in
you weren't supposed to say it this episode.
Can't help it.
All right, keep going.
So anyways, in doing that, you jump from the left to the right to the left to the right to the left to the right, then YouTube doesn't know what the fuck you want, and it's you got to
start showing you dance videos.
Well, you got secular talk, and then right below it you got the Daily Wire. I'm like, I think I broke the echo chamber. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah, you just have to go out and you have to seek it, which is what you should be doing anyway. Like, you need to seek those opposite opinions of yourself, so that way you can have a well-informed opinion on both sides. Like, it's not, people are more concerned with being right than they are with like the actual information and the facts.
Well, so if you don't break your own echo chamber, you wind up like, some of these news outlets that nobody takes seriously because they argue as if nobody's ever had a reasonable argument against their policy.
Right.
Like, nobody has ever thought up a very reasonable argument. They just say the same shit, and then everybody gets sick of it, and then these news medias can't figure out what the problem is.
Yeah. And they're also like, there's like some weird respect thing now for I don't know. I don't see enough of these news stations holding each other responsible. Like,
well, it's because it's really hard to argue with the guy on the other side who's doing exactly the thing you want him to do.
Well, I mean, that's true too, I guess. But like, if you remember, I don't know if you remember watching any news in the late 90s, like I watched quite a bit, and you would have news networks call each other out on giving out misinformation. Like, hey, this channel reported this, and we want to give you the actual story and give you the facts.
Yeah, because they wanted to give you the actual story and the actual facts. It ain't like that no more. Everybody's hands are dirty.
It's not. Right. So, like that, and that creates a huge problem in our 24-hour news cycle world that we live in.
Well, it's only a huge problem if you let it become a huge problem. See, here's the difference, though.
Yeah, okay.
Here is the difference.
Go there.
In the late 90s, you watched the news for news. In 2019, you watch it for entertainment.
Yes.
There's a big difference.
That is a big difference.
Big difference. And everybody knows it. You think the heads of these major corporations, these major news corporations don't know it? Hell yeah, they know it.
Yeah.
They're like, well, yeah, rock on. Hell, 2 days after Trump was in office, they already had the countdown for the next presidential election.
Yeah.
Not because, their person lost. It's because of all the money they're going to make off the ratings.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I have nothing against CNN or Wolf Blitzer or any of them, but I see the money. I see it. I'm not stupid. It's no different with Twitter. Do I personally agree with what he's doing is right or wrong? It doesn't matter. I think he's doing it for the money. I don't blame him for that.
Yeah.
Because he has a company to run.
Well, it's also, if you think about all the people that bitch about how the news only talks about the bad stuff happening in the world.
Well, they would never watch it if it was nothing but good stuff. Yeah, they would never watch it.
Take it off politics for a minute. Like, you hear about all these murders and stuff like that, and they're even glorifying these murderers. And we've been saying as a community for a long time, and they have psychological research saying to stop glorifying these people, stop giving them a name. Just say a guy shot up a place and name the place and name the victims. Don't give the guy a name.
Well, they happen so often anymore that everybody's half-assed desensitized towards it.
Yeah, and that's also part of the news's fault. You watch the news and you get 9 stories, 9 terrible things happening, and then, oh, look, this puppy's eating ice cream.
Yeah.
What?
No, well, nobody cares about the puppy or the ice cream unless the ice cream is just product placement.
Yeah, but no, that's also true though. It's not just the news's fault. They're reacting to the consumer.
Well, okay, what's the consumer saying? We don't want this. What's the consumer doing? Watching it.
Yeah, watching it.
So saying something and doing something completely different. And it's funny you mention that because we're talking about politics where they say one thing and then do something completely different. Yeah. These are your Americans, people. These are, look at the 3 things that you have to have in order to run for president. One of them is natural-born citizen. So while your political official is probably saying one thing and doing something completely different, you're also saying one thing and doing something completely different. You know why? Because when you're saying something, all eyes are on you. When you're doing something, nobody's paying attention.
Yeah, so you don't have to put up a facade.
A facade.
Facade.
But that's all it is. It's just, there's an old verse from an old Mellencamp song called, the Bez Mabe, There's No Sheets On. It's a lot like Keeping Up with the Joneses. You keep up with your neighbor so long, you wind yourself into bankruptcy, and it's just the illusion you have something. You don't have shit. You have a lot of debt. So.
Yeah, people being too worried about the public opinion, and then not if you're more worried about public opinion, you're more likely to put on a front to get the result that you want. And then as soon as you have the result, the desired result from the public opinion, you don't actually care anymore about the thing. That's a solid effect that happens across a lot of people.
They did all sorts of studies on like social media and dopamine levels. And I'm sure you've seen them, and the results are as obvious as you think they are. And what's interesting about that to me is because I don't, as you referred to me earlier about the man who has no social media, I get to armchair quarterback through this whole thing. And because I don't have social media, because I really don't give a shit what anybody thinks of me. I know that I probably shouldn't just come out and say it, but I really don't.
Right.
And the reason that is because it's not because I'm a confident person or my ego's as big as this living room or, whatever. That has actually nothing to do with it. It's just I always look at who's judging me. I always look at who says what. If a bum essentially tells me I'm broke, I'm not going to be like, oh, well, you really got no room to talk. If somebody calls me a hypocrite and they themselves are a hypocrite, and they have no room to talk. I am a man of faith. If another Christian tells me I'm going to hell because I don't believe their brand of Christianity, I mean, I don't really give a shit, because that's, in my mind, that's between me and God, not really me and them. And it doesn't matter to me because I don't care. And on social media, that's the whole image. You're supposed to care what people think. The whole thing is pretty much screaming.
Well, I mean, it depends on what you use it for, and I think that even...
I love hearing the argument, it depends on what you use it for, or people immediately go into justification for it. It cracks me up.
Well, it's not about justification. It depends on the person. Like, it's just as addictive as anything else.
Yeah.
So if you are already an addictive person, and you have an addictive personality, then like you're probably going to fall in that line of people who like, or it also depends on whether or not you're someone who constantly compares themselves to others.
I think you missed the point with what I was saying.
No, you were generalizing.
I was not generalizing. I was not generalizing. I think you missed the point.
Okay, what's your point?
My point is
2 sentences.
2 sentences or less.
Yep.
All right. My point is if it makes you happy, then why the hell are you so sad? Why would you... What gets me about this whole thing, if people have an addiction like you just compared social media to, if people have an addiction that makes them feel like shit, and by feeling like shit, constantly trying to compare themselves to everybody else.
Yeah.
Am I generalizing?
No, just keep going.
So, if they have an addiction, why don't they treat such addiction like they would treat somebody with a smoking addiction or an alcohol addiction or a drug addiction, and just be like, well, just stop doing it?
Because it just makes you feel bad. That's it. That's not a big deal.
I mean, it's not to me. I don't know.
No, I mean, I'm saying we as a society don't look at that as the same thing. We don't look at that as the same kind of addiction.
Doesn't that have the same type of
effect?
Mental effect?
Yeah, it does. But we don't see it like that as a society. We don't treat it the same.
Or we just don't admit it. I think everybody sees it, because this is I mean, it's there. It's not really...
I think people want to judge each other and call each other out in such a way that it creates this animosity that it's not about wanting the person who has the addiction to be better. It's not about that. They don't want them to be better. They feel superior to them, so they get to judge them. And I think that falls back on that a lot, as far as like how people feel toward people with addiction. Because more often than not, people with addiction are looked down on. And not in like a, oh, let me help you, let me lift you up kind of way, but like a, you shouldn't have that, you're letting yourself have that, you're a piece of shit. And that's not how we should be looking at it, whether it be a social media addiction or someone's addicted to heroin. And I'm not saying that social media is less or worse than being addicted to heroin. I'm just saying, like,
I think we should look at it more realistically and take smoker, because I am a smoker. So
yeah, and they probably kill you just as fast, like the social media addiction and the smoking. Because smoking can take like 30, 40, 50 years.
Well, a lot of people they've society has demonized cigarettes in this country for so long that if you're a smoker, you're the worst scum on earth. If you're an alcoholic or a heroin addict, you just have a problem. You just have an illness. You just have a sickness. They have no problem looking at that or saying that for any other addiction except for a smoker.
Yeah.
And I think what it is, I figured this out. I think what it is the demonization of cigarettes in this country, plus the effect that if you're a smoker, you can still operate in life and be about as happy as you're going to be, as opposed to if you're or if you're addicted to alcohol or if you're addicted to heroin. It's very hard to maintain a job if you're strung out on heroin all the time.
That's not true at all. I mean, it's kind of true. It depends on the person, though, once again. It's like alcoholism, because you have functioning alcoholics who go to work drunk for 20 years and never get fired, and then you have non-functioning alcoholics who can't get out of bed once they've gotten drunk.
And those functioning alcoholics are really jealous of the smokers because they can smoke in public. They can't drink in public. Or depending on the state.
It could be.
So
that could be part of it.
And then the heroin addict is say you do have somebody who's functionable on heroin. Well, they can't just shoot up in their
heroin doesn't look like it looks in movies most of the time.
I don't know.
In movies, they do heroin, they pass out for 20 hours, and sometimes they almost die.
I know next to nothing about heroin.
It's not quite that. Sometimes it's that, and that's usually a OD situation. But there are functioning heroin users who use heroin and then go to
what about
work
crack?
Or go to school and pick up their kids.
What about crack? Not cocaine, crack. Are there functioning crack users?
I mean, that one's probably a little bit more intense. I don't know, honestly.
Yeah, I don't either.
I've done research on heroin, and I've talked to people who have done it, so that's a little bit more in the realm of
I know next to nothing about any of these drugs, to be quite honest. I really don't.
Addiction is a very curious thing to me. I'm very curious about it. And everyone has some sort of addiction almost. I
think everybody does have an addiction.
98% of the population is addicted to caffeine.
Oh,
and
yeah.
That's acceptable too.
Yeah.
But how fucking hard is it to quit caffeine? It's fucking terrible.
It's in everything though. It's not
you have to pay attention to what you're doing because it's in so much stuff, but then the withdrawals that you have after you don't have it.
Yeah.
If I wake up and I go longer than 6 hours without caffeine, I'm just ready to go right the fuck back to bed and sleep my headache off.
Yeah.
I feel
it ain't a headache.
Body feels like
it's
shit.
a migraine at that point.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Assuming you slept for 8 hours or less.
But I think a lot of the issue with how we look down on addiction is because of this kind of calling out culture and people just being judgmental and looking down on people and just having something to hold over them.
Why do you think that is, though? Do you think social media has created that or brought it out?
I don't think it's helped. I think social media is more of a hindrance than it is a help, because it connects us around the world. Why the fuck do I give a shit what someone is doing halfway around the world? Why don't I care more about what my neighbor's doing and how my neighbor feels? But I should care more about the thing I can directly affect, which is my neighbor. So if my neighbor's having a bad day, it should be more important to me that my neighbor's having a bad day and that I could maybe assist them or make their day just a little bit better, as opposed to getting on Facebook and either feeling better because someone halfway around the world is having a shitty day, or B, me feeling bad because someone halfway around the world is on vacation and having a great day. It doesn't fucking matter. The way social media is used now versus the way it was intended for is super detrimental to our society and to us as individuals. I don't think it should be banned because I don't believe in banning stuff, but people need to acknowledge why they feel the way they feel, not just have the feeling and run with it. And I think a lot of this judgmental mentality comes out of just like having that initial feeling and being like, yeah, this is how I feel. Yeah, fuck yeah, I'm gonna ride this wave. But is that the right wave that you should be riding?
I don't know, Mike Brady, is it?
But I bring that up because this week Obama had the Obama Foundation Summit. And he says some pretty interesting stuff, and I wanted to touch on that just for a little bit. So, one of the things he said was, I do get a sense sometimes now among certain young people, and this is accelerated by social media, that the way of me making change is to be as judgmental as possible about other people, and that's enough. He goes on to say, that is not activism. That is not bringing about change. The world is messy. There are ambiguities. People who do really good stuff have flaws. This idea of purity, and you're never compromised, and you're always politically woke, and all that stuff, you should get over that quickly. Obama told this to a crowd in Chicago. He also said, like, if I tweet or hashtag about how you didn't do something right or use the wrong verb, then I can sit back and feel pretty good about myself because, man, did you see how woke I was? I called you out. So there's a lot there in just a couple paragraphs, right?
Right, as in there's a lot there, or right as in it was a couple of paragraphs?
Both. But anyway, so there's a lot there that he says. And I read that, and there's been some things that Obama has done and or said that I've disagreed with. There's also been some stuff that he's said that I have agreed with. But this, I didn't expect this type of... I didn't expect this out of him. But I think he also kind of... He realizes what's going on and what's being said and what's happening and the motivation behind it. And I think he's trying to be a leader right now. I mean, he was a leader before, but I think right now in this moment with these words coming out and saying this, I think this is a very good example of him coming out to portray a good idea of leadership.
One thing I will say about Obama, and there's some stuff he did I liked and some stuff he did I didn't like, and I can go through that with literally every president that we've had in our lifetime, even Trump. Trump's done some stuff I liked, done some stuff I didn't agree with. Right. Same thing with Bush Jr., same thing with Clinton. I mean, nobody's perfect. He's right about that. One thing I will give Obama respect for, at least in this scenario, is he seems to be extremely genuine.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if there's something that made him decide to go about this route or whatever, but what he said, I believe he believes what he is saying.
Yeah, and it's very well put together, and he takes his time in the video. If you go watch the video, which I shared it on my Facebook page, so those of you who also are addicted to social media can go check it out.
You're not in my echo chamber, sorry, bro.
Bro, I've just been spending all this time trying to get up in your echo chamber. What's up with that?
Well, apparently I can't just go to Facebook and be automatically logged in like everybody else in the world is. I have to create an account. I'm like, I don't have time for this shit.
Yeah, and then they get all your information and then they sell it off to private companies and so on and so forth.
I'm not against private companies having my information. It's when the government hands out a summons to where they want your private information, that's where I have the problem.
Yeah, no, that creates a large problem. Sell my stuff, I guess. I would like for them not to.
Well, okay, what you were saying earlier about the targeted ads. Sorry, I just want to touch on this, and then we'll go down your rabbit hole. The targeted ads, okay?
All right.
I love targeted ads. You know why? Because...
Are yours right?
No, mine are never right.
Okay, neither am I.
I'm never going to buy this shit. Whoever is in charge of targeted ads is doing a piss poor job because the shit they're sending me is dog shit. I'm not buying it.
Yeah, I'm not either. There's
I
no
want to
reason
see a
for me to
product.
purchase a 12-inch dildo.
I want to see a product I might be interested in.
Yeah, I do too. Like a 7-inch dildo.
Well,
get the fuck out.
What? Don't judge him. If he wants a 7-inch dildo, he should be able to have one.
I can. You know why?
Because of targeted ads?
We live in America.
I wasn't going to say it. I wasn't going to say it, but you're right. We live in America. And if there's a market for it, there's somebody who makes it.
Yep, that's very true. All right, so back to the Obama thing.
Back to the Obama thing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he sounds very genuine. If you go watch the video, he always stops and collects his thoughts and speaks. And I appreciate that. It takes him a little bit longer to say what he's trying to say, but I think he's very charismatic, and I think he usually comes across the way he wants to come off.
Yeah. You know who's also very charismatic and always comes across the way he wants to come across?
Who?
Donald fucking Trump. Oh my God. I'm sorry. If I had to listen to one of those two talk, I would pick Trump any day of the week. Trump is so fucking entertaining.
I have to pick Obama.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I can't. I'm not entertained by him talking.
By Trump? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing in the world.
He doesn't piss me off because of the things he says. He pisses me off because of the way he talks. Like, I hate how often he repeats himself, and he says the same sentence 3 times in a row, and then he like makes stupid hand gestures. Like,
I love it.
I hate it.
I love it.
He drives me fucking nuts.
Oh my gosh, it's great. It's very entertaining.
But I do actually really enjoy Obama's speeches. Like I said, I don't always agree with him. I don't always disagree with him. There are quite a few instances where I've agreed with him. This being a very strong and particular one. And I mean, I think he's right. Like, I think a lot of these issues are systemic over just being overly judgmental. Like, a lot of these, a lot of this calling people out on whatever they're doing wrong.
I don't think it's being overly judgmental. I think it's about being open about being overly judgmental.
So you want them to shut the fuck up and keep it to themselves?
Well, society operated a lot better when everybody did. I think everybody's always been like this. I think everybody has always been like this. It's just acceptable to be open about it.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah. And we also like don't have percentages. Like we're not operating on percentages now. We see like 5 to 15 people shared the same tweet in our little echo chamber on social media, and we're like, oh no, like most of the population believes this stuff. And then other people are offended by those 5 to 15 people.
Yeah, when people start getting offended, I no longer give a shit.
There's not a lot of difference between someone being overly judgmental and calling someone out and like they're offended. Like, offended's the fallback word. Like, that justifies them.
They're not justified. Nobody's justified. This whole thing is ridiculous.
I'm not saying they're justified. I'm saying there's not. If you're overly judgmental and calling someone out, and the fallback is, well, I was offended by it.
Yeah. Okay, I see where you're going with this. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. The fallback is
the whole thing's a joke.
Yeah, I mean, I think so too. I just, Obama is like the liberal king. Was.
I don't know about that, but okay. Keep going. I want to hear where you're going with this.
Well, I think it's interesting for him to come out at this point in time, right before, we go into campaign season, and like say this. And I don't necessarily think it's related. It's just kind of weird coincidence that he's coming out and saying all of this now.
Or he said, what did he say at his last, his Obama Foundation summits last year?
I don't know.
Exactly, because nobody reported it. So who's to say that these news cycles aren't just like, well, Obama's speaking, election cycle's right around the corner. Let's get whatever he says and we'll run with it.
I seen this on Facebook. So
I'm just calling it like I see it. So
yeah.
While we're talking,
I just thought it was interesting.
While we're talking about things that we agree with politicians on, I'm going to set out the thing that I agree with Hillary Clinton on. We need to follow the money. And she actually did say that in one of the debates against Donald Trump. She said we need to follow the money. And I forget what she was talking about, and I'm probably going to use that term way out of context. I think she was talking about health insurance or something of that nature. And I was like, you know what? I agree with her. We need to follow the money. So I'm just following the money. Whatever news outlet, if Bill Clinton comes out and says anything close to insightful that might help their Joe Biden-ish style candidate, they're going to be all about it. And they'll report on it. And I'm telling you, it's only because it's election year. And, you know, I'm sure Obama doesn't have these summits just every once in a while. Like whenever, I'm sure they're on like a schedule, like an annual schedule or I would assume an annual schedule.
Yeah, I would think so.
So I'm, just assuming. I highly doubt it's every 2 to 4 years during election season.
Yeah, and I mean, he's not. I don't want it to sound like I think that he's converting to like conservatism or anything. Like he's
in the 80s, he would have been a moderate Republican,
based on policy, but not based on his social. Like he's a liberal, like based on his social policies, like how he feels about social economics, and like the things that he stands for and some of the stuff that he did. Like he's like a liberal.
Okay. Like what? I'm curious. I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with you. I'm just kind of curious where you're going with this.
We federally legalized gay marriage while he was president. And that's one of the most liberal things that you can do.
Okay.
That's like progressive. So
you think that Ronald Reagan wouldn't have done it if that's what the American public wanted in the 80s?
I mean, I don't know. That's a hypothetical.
Well, it's much to the point though of, what he's saying is you can't find anybody with a perfect record. And I'm not saying Reagan has a perfect record by any stretch of the imagination, just as Obama doesn't. But, there are certain things he did. There are certain things both the guys did that I agreed with and, so on and so forth. So, as I talk like Trump and repeat myself. So, in saying that, if the times had been different, he might not have, if he would have been president in the 80s, he might not have legalized gay marriage. And if Ronald Reagan would have been president at the time he might have.
I don't think it was ever going to come from the conservative side. Gay marriage would have never been legalized under a Republican president.
Then how come the Republican president we have now has done literally nothing to try to overturn it?
Because he can't.
Well, not with that attitude, he can't.
Like he literally can't. Like it can never be overturned. I don't know what it's called, but whatever needed to happen for it to never be overturned happened. Obama made sure of it. And it's already legalized. So even if it was possible for him to do it, like he's gonna cause mass riots across the country at this point. Like there were damn near mass riots trying to get it to happen. But no, I don't think gay marriage would have ever been legalized under a Republican president, because a large percentage of Republicans get their votes from the Christian community. And the last thing they're going to do is piss off their voters.
I don't know a lot of Christians anymore, at least Christian voters who actually give a damn one way or the other about who somebody dates or marries. That.
Well, yeah, they had to get the fuck over it.
No, it's just they were just brought up to not give a shit. It wasn't they had to get the fuck over it. There was nothing to get over.
I think that's like personal experience because like I have met very few Christians that are okay with
really
gay people. Yeah.
Every Christian,
even in the last like 5 years.
Okay, scratch that. Every Christian I have any respect for has never gave a damn. They're just like, well, if he wants to be with him, fine. If she wants to be with her, fine.
Yeah.
Like nobody gave a shit.
And I know those Christians exist. I know they're out there. I know there are Christians in the world who exist who preach love, who are all about.
Well, you're not going to hear about them.
Love each other. No, you're not, because that's not where the drama's at.
Yeah.
But that's also not a large percentage of Christians. I mean, it's probably getting larger and larger as these generations get older.
I don't know about that. I see a lot of people just being atheists and being done with it, or agnostic.
Religion has been around since forever. It's not going to go away.
I'm not saying it is. I'm saying a lot of people. You will still have people who are Christians. You will still have Christians. I'm not saying that. I'm saying not as many people will recognize or will relate themselves to Christianity as opposed to atheism or agnostic.
I think it will always be around similar numbers. I don't think it's going to grow anymore. I wasn't saying it was going to grow anymore. I was saying that like the kids that are going to grow up and become Christians now are going to be less likely to have that like hateful resolve toward gay people or people that are different, or even people who aren't Christians. Because we have seen that. Our generation has seen that.
Yeah, it was a joke when we saw it. I thought it was a parody. But if you dig into what else he's... Okay, sorry.
Hold on.
Okay, I'm holding on.
Well, I don't know where you were going.
I can't take these people fucking seriously to begin with if they're just going to hate somebody for literally no reason. That's no different than being racist and prejudiced.
Right. Yeah, but what we seen differently was that Christians in our time, like as we were growing up, Christians weren't as... they weren't shunning us as much. Like Gentiles or like people who weren't hardcore Christians who didn't go to church. That has gotten less and less as we have gotten older. Like there are far more Christians who identify as Christian who don't go to church every Sunday, specifically because people who go to those people that go to that church or those churches or whatever are too judgmental for them to be around. Like we've seen a lot of that in our generations and like growing up and moving forward. There's still a lot of Christians. We're seeing a lot more honest Christians, I think, than what previous generations have. Mostly because we're growing and becoming a more progressive society.
So, even though the Christians are going to... So, let's say that the Christians, essentially, are all Republicans, because you're saying that they have to hold to their Christian
I'm not saying that
vote.
they all are. I'm saying like a large portion of the Republican voters are Christians.
I think they're NRA members. I bet they got more NRA members than they got Christian conservatives. I really do.
I mean, maybe, but how many NRA owners are Christians? I bet that number is pretty high.
I don't know. I don't think everybody who owns a gun believes in God. And
no, I don't think so either.
I don't think everybody who votes Republican believes in God, or just because somebody believes in God means they're going to vote Republican, or because they don't believe in God, they're going to vote Democrat.
I also don't believe in generalizations. We're talking percentages, though.
Oh, I don't have those numbers readily available.
Anyway, the point being, 10 years from now, 15 years, 20 years from now, maybe a Republican would have legalized gay marriage, but you're right. It is at least somewhat based on our social situations and how society is reacting to it, because we've also had more and more people come out over the last years. So, their numbers as a minority are higher, so they're becoming less of a minority, and that's going to change public opinion, because you're going to have people who are judgmental and then get around people who they were judgmental against, and some of them are going to realize, oh, hey, these people aren't as like shitty of people as I thought they were. And then that's just part of cultural growth.
Or they're gonna get around them and be like, "Oh shit, they're every bit as bad as I thought they were."
Some of them, yeah.
I'm just fucking playing.
No, yeah, I mean that happens too, though.
Douchebaggery has no standards. It can apply to literally anyone. Douchebaggery is not racist or prejudice. Anybody can be a douchebag, even you, or me.
Anyone can be a douchebag. And part of what makes someone a douchebag is they have this idea and they have this arrogance because they think they have all this knowledge, and they have all of this pseudo knowledge that they're basing their
the pseudo intellectuals.
Yeah, the pseudo intellectuals that they're basing their arrogance off of, or what they would perceive as confidence, I guess. And it creates this illusion that they are a part of the more intelligent population because they think that they're above.
I always love that. If there is one person, if there is one type of people I love, is the pseudo intellectuals that take themselves way too seriously. Oh my gosh, I am such a sarcastic dumbass that I cannot help myself. I just can't, because I'm not saying that I'm smarter than them at everything, but I'm probably smarter at them than something. It's the odds game. You know, you ask 100 chicks out on a date, one of them's bound to say yes. So you're just playing the numbers game.
Right.
I'm doing the same thing with these pseudo-intellectuals. There's probably something, not all the time. Well, it's not guaranteed. I just have to figure out what it is. I probably know more than they do about something.
Yeah.
What it is, I have no fucking clue, but I have to find it. And then I have to mock them for it. And I can't help myself. I really can't. And then I have to be so sarcastic about it because they're so serious about it. And I really cannot help myself. Does that make me a douchebag? Probably. Do I care? Not really. Hence what I said earlier about I don't really give a shit what anybody thinks of me. But at the same time, I may feel justified in it. I don't. I do it for my own personal entertainment. And that probably makes me a douchebag. But I can't help myself. I can't help it, and maybe it's.
It's kind of douchey, but you're being a douchebag to douchebags.
Yeah. So. Well, it's like Blade, the vampire that was the vampire killer.
Yeah.
So it all works out.
Yeah.
It's the old old poetic justice, I guess.
Yeah, it's very similar.
And it cracks me up because I don't know if I'm smart or not, because I always run through these paradoxes every time I start to wonder my own personal intelligence.
Right.
Because if I don't know something, I look it up. So I was dumb, now I'm smart, or was I smart because I was smart enough to realize I didn't know and look it up? Or was I dumb because I was ill-informed on what I was curious about to begin with? So therefore, I open up my own paradox.
Yeah, when honestly, you could probably just refer to this nice little chart that was created.
There's a chart?
It's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. This is part of psychology study.
Okay.
And it basically takes your confidence in something and puts it on a y-axis, and then your experience in something and puts it on an x-axis.
What's on the z-axis?
It's just x and y.
What?
That's not a 3D graph.
What the fuck? This is 2019. I want a fucking goddamn...
I'm looking at a picture on fucking Google, all right?
Oh, what, Yahoo images not good enough for you?
So, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but all you have to type into Google Images is the Dunning-Kruger effect. And basically what this is it shows you the flow that a person goes through when they're learning about something and when they become an expert and basically how much experience they're getting throughout that time. So when you learn something, you just think, oh, I got this, and your confidence shoots way up. There's a lot of people that never come out of that phase because they never seek the extra knowledge and they never seek the extra experience to get out of that phase, to realize that the more you learn, the less you know.
Is that where the echo chamber just like lies? Is just in that first step?
I think so. I think that is because, like, also if you think about how many people hear the first fact, they're like, oh, this is a fact. I heard this is the thing. This is the thing I'm going to believe for 30 fucking years because mom and dad said so, or grandpa said so, or whoever the fuck said it first, and I'm going to believe it. They run with that shit almost their entire lives.
Yeah.
And then they get into these situations where they're obviously wrong, and then they just double the fuck down.
Yes! That's part of being an American, is you double the fuck down. You see that fucking 20 and you're like, fuck it. 21 or nothing, baby. Hit me. Yes, that's it. It's called 21, not fucking 20 and puss out.
But so yeah, so it's really fascinating. I think this theory is really fascinating. And you can go and you can read more about it. But this graph really breaks down like why there's such the illusion of intelligence, or like why arrogance is, and then let's define it. Let's define arrogance as different than confidence.
Well, yeah, arrogance is actually the absence of confidence.
Yeah, arrogance is, confidence is like substantial or substantiated. Like you have reason for it, so you have the experience to be confident. That's the only thing I don't like about this graph is I wish it was arrogance versus experience instead of confidence versus experience. But
I think what the graph is, at least when I looked at it, I think it's how you feel in your statement. So you're confident in what you believe.
Oh yeah, because it's a graph, so it's not judging people or calling anyone out, I guess.
Yeah, it's just internally. Well, I'm just saying.
I just thought I'd strike myself.
You don't sit there and think that. Well, I arrogantly think that the sky's blue. It's like, no, I confidently believe the sky's blue, and then somebody could literally come along and talk about prisms and rays and a bunch of science nonsense that I have no fucking clue of, and I couldn't tell you if they're right or not. Yeah. I don't fucking know.
And they're like, and then they also bring up, well, I mean, the sky looks blue to you, but what does blue look like to you? We don't know that it looks the same.
It doesn't. It looks like a lighter shade of pale.
But yeah, so there definitely is this like ridiculous amount of arrogance that comes with inexperience, or even honestly like ignorance, because people like to cover. I don't even know that they like to do it as much as they just do it as like a reflex. So they cover this inexperience or this insecurity about their intelligence with just like this ridiculous amount of arrogance, and then that just like leads them down usually some sort of path to destruction, whether it be their social life or their work environment or whatever it is. It ends up being a destructive quality.
Well, speaking of that, it brings me to a very, I guess, universal point. I'm saying universal because this has happened to me. I'm sure it's happened to literally everybody else out there, where you're talking to somebody and you realize that they're a fucking idiot. Just straight up, they're a flat fucking idiot. That's all there is to it. There's no saving them. They're a fucking idiot. And I'm not saying that to be judgmental. Some people are just fucking idiots. And you know who I'm talking about. Whoever's listening, I'm sure.
Not just whoever is listening, but someone somewhere knows is what you mean.
No. Actually, I'm not calling anybody out specifically. I'm just saying that.
Oh, that's probably good. You shouldn't do that.
If I did, I'd use their name. So this way there would be no question. So anyways, you're talking to somebody and you're like, you're just a fucking idiot. Now, how do you come to that conclusion of they're just a fucking idiot?
Through experience.
Through experience and confidence in the subject that you guys are discussing. Like I was saying earlier about, I have to fit any pseudo-intellectual who takes themselves too seriously, I automatically have to mock. I cannot help it, and I have to be as sarcastic as I possibly can because I know I'm stupid and I know I'm sarcastic, which is the exact opposite of them. I love it though. Now, the thing is what you believe in, what you believe are facts are based off of what you believe as truth. And your truth is based off of your perception. And your perception is based off of beliefs. So by the time you wind back from the fact, wherever the fact is, you have to jump through all this other shit to see if this fact winds up concurrently with your beliefs. Now, you hear a lot of the terms of, open-mindedness or, you got to have an open mind, or these people are just closed-minded so they'll never get it. That sort of thing. They like to color it in a nice way, like, oh, all change is good. No, it's not. Anybody who tells you that is lying, period. Or, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Yeah, exactly.
Working hard or hardly working.
Yeah. So anyways, and I'll use climate change as a great example. Or actually, I'll take the flat earth instead. I prefer to use the flat earth. So... The flat earthers believe the flat earthers believe that the earth is flat. I'm standing on it. It's obviously flat. I own a leveler. So
okay.
And so I'm saying the earth is flat. I'm standing on it.
Yep.
Somebody else comes along and is like, well, the world's really round because, we're not a frisbee. Now, they will bicker back and forth, because they're both closed-minded, can't teach an old dog new trick, that sort of shit. They'll bicker back and forth and use their own science to back up their philosophy.
Yeah.
And the reason I didn't want to use climate change is because the flat earthers can actually believe in climate change.
Wait, what?
Yes, this is a real fucking thing. I am just as impressed as you are. That's what I said. That's exactly what I said.
Cognitive dissonance.
So, I heard a flat earther talking about the world going to flood if the polar ice caps melt. I'm like, how the fuck do you figure? Wouldn't it just roll off the side of the earth? I mean, I'm just asking.
Okay.
So
we're talking about flat earthers, right? Not like the weird donut people.
No, we're talking flat earth. Like flat earth.
Because you know the donut people are a thing too, right?
I don't know. I think they're fence sitters. I think they don't want to be right or wrong. They're just like, I don't know. It's probably a fucking donut. Whatever. I think it's an isosceles triangle myself. Hence the name Bermuda Triangle.
God poked a hole in it and put that planet somewhere else.
No, what really happened was a black hole opened right in the middle of our Earth's core and just swung us around, and the only reason we have the hole is the black hole. If you're not religious and you want to be a donut theory, there's your theory. So
you did know that they were a thing?
No, I made that up literally just right on the
spot. I don't
spot.
even know. I can't even tell. This shit is so ridiculous.
I rest my case. So, I'm very confident in what I just made up, though. So
maybe you should learn more about it. So
I should.
You can be less.
I'm not going to though.
Okay.
I'm gonna straight right up to confidence off your little echo chamber graph thing.
Dunning-Kruger effect.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it. So you call it your thing, I call it my thing. So
as long as you don't call my thing your thing, we're fine.
God, I hope not. So the flat earthers, from what I've heard and how I understand it, and I may be wrong, I don't think I am. They may be wrong, but they don't think they are either.
Okay.
So if the polar ice caps melt, we essentially have a big ice wall on our flat Earth.
Okay. But that's not melting?
Well, the polar ice caps melt, the ice wall will hold it in like a cup and flood the Earth.
So why wouldn't the outer wall melt?
Because by the time, if the outer wall melts, it would essentially sink the Earth before it would flow off the sides. So so it's like if you have like an ice cup that went up, I don't know, we'll say a foot. By the time all the water melts into it, by the time it melts half in 6 inches, it's already going to flood the Earth before it starts seeping out.
Oh, yeah, no, this totally makes sense. Like, I'm a flat earther now.
Yeah.
You converted me. Good job.
Yay!
Flat Earth.
That's the theory I've heard, theory I understand at least.
So, like, why are there ice caps if the world's flat?
They're not ice caps. They're the ice wall.
Oh, they're the
ice wall.
Okay. I thought there were the caps and the wall.
No. I was speaking as if I thought the world was round because I'm
a fool.
I
fool
know
you are.
Yes, I am. But you can find people who think the world is round and don't believe in climate change. So I was 100% sure that the flat earther could also believe in climate change. It just makes sense, right?
And then you found it. So this is the thing. You're like, I thought of this. I'm gonna go find it.
I'm pretty sure, by my understanding, this is a real thing.
Can we interview them?
I don't know where these people are. They're probably so few and far between. They're not.
If you were listening and you were a flat earther, we want to interview you.
Who believes that the world could flood.
Oh, yeah. Who believes in climate change.
Yes.
Man-made climate change, right? Because the climate changes all the time. Or am I supposed to specify that now?
I'm not a fucking Republican. I'm not saying that shit. I've never heard anybody who's not a Republican say that.
All right. So if you are a flat earther, we would like for you to come on and have a conversation with us.
Please.
Where we would do our best, our very, very, very best, not to talk about how round the world is.
No, what? My first question, if you do come on our show, the first question I'm going to ask you is if Pearl Harbor was an inside job, because there's no way they could have flown all the way from Japan to Hawaii without stopping and refueling somewhere.
Sounds like an inside job.
The facts don't lie.
You know what else was an inside job?
Global warming.
A movie with Clive Owen in it.
Never saw it.
It's good. It's about him robbing a bank.
I believe it. Clive Owen's pretty fucking awesome. Yeah, I've only seen him in like 2 movies, but he was awesome in both of them.
Never movies. And Barry pointed at one of the pictures we have hanging up in the studio. Studio, as if it's not in my front room. It is actually a map of the world depicted as round.
Yeah, they're 2 frisbees. Well, I think
Shut the fuck up. Oh man, look at all those other frisbees in that solar system.
Yeah, I definitely remember hearing how the sun's definitely a frisbee. Actually, I think the sun is more of the donut thing.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, because it takes shape of our entire Milky Way galaxy.
So the donut thing bothers me because like it's round on one aspect,
but it's also
it can't
flat.
just be round.
Well, that's why it's the fence sitter theory.
No, it's not flat. It's like no one can see the hand motions I'm making. I don't know why I'm doing.
I can see them, and
like
they're
an actual
ridiculous.
donut, like a 3D donut,
like a bagel donut, or
like
one of those like bear claw donuts.
Like a regular donut. Like the hell donut in Homer Simpson's refrigerator that he eats.
Oh. So do you think the frosting is the land and the non-frosted part is the ocean? Or do you think that the frosted sprinkles on it are the ice caps?
I think we need to move on. That's
All right.
what I think. We wore that
brought it
subject out. Barry is tired. He is yawning. Hey, Wolf.
Hey!
I have a retraction to make.
Oh, you got to be wrong for a change?
I
Holy
know, right?
hot shit.
When the fuck does that happen?
Never.
So, last episode, I had said that South Park got death threats because they showed a picture of Allah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually, they had shown a picture of Muhammad.
Okay, I remember that episode now.
That is what the death threats were over.
That's why I had no fucking clue what you were talking about last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
That makes sense.
I'm pretty sure you also said it was ISIS that was sending death threats, but from what I read, it's just like a small group of like 10 guys, some extremist Muslims that were mad about it.
I think that was... I think I did say ISIS, and I think that also happened before ISIS was the thing.
I don't know. The whole thing's fucking ridiculous. I just want to say thank you guys for listening to us rant and rave about intelligence, and hopefully you're smarter and dumber for listening to it. But mainly smarter.
Why would you want them to be dumber?
I don't want them to be dumber.
It's like you're actually smarter, but you feel dumber because you know more about what you don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you,
the
Barry.
whole point of this episode. We wrapped it up nicely. Good job, you guys. Thanks for that. All right. Well, we're going to sign off, so we hope you've enjoyed your drink.
I mean, is there enough shit to edit out in this?
There's like little clusters of a whole lot of work.